FIFA Club World Cup is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated competitions this summer. Well, mostly by FIFA, but a lot of other people are really anticipated to see what might happen. Are there going to be shocks? Are there going to be early group stage exits? Or is it going to be the same old boring competition? I'm going to lay you down on what I think and my predictions for the FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Group A, or Group 1, consists of the teams Porto, Palmeiras, Ahly, and Inter Miami. Now let's start off with FC Porto. FC Porto are a club who plays in Portugal and who qualified to the Champions League coefficients. I don't know. And they will top this group and qualify for the round of 16. The second club we're going to talk about is Inter Miami. Now, a lot of people, like I said in the Porto review, people think they're going to be the favorite. I just don't think they will. I think even though they have Messi and Suarez and Busquets and Jordi Alba, they just lack something that other teams have. You know, they lack some firepower. And I know they have Messi and Suarez, but they just don't work well with other teammates. And also you've seen in the MLS how they're crumbling, because if something happens to all of their main players, then they'll be left in the dust. Obviously, they've lost a couple games with those players. They've not done so well without those players. And now they have 3 losses in their last 4 or 5 games. And that could start to become a problem. You know, they're out of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. MLS is 6th. And they're not in the US Open Cup, so we'll have to see how they do in the Leagues Cup, which is after the Club World Cup. Which is why I think they will not make it to the round 16. They will get grouped and finish 3rd. Now, Palmeiras is probably the club I know the least about in this entire group. But I checked up on them a couple minutes ago, and they seem to be doing really well in Serie A and also the CONMEBOL Champions League, having 5 wins from 5 games. Now, obviously, if I knew the least about them, you're like, oh, it's Aniguado and you could have been last. Because I feel as if, you know, especially having Endrick, he went to Real Madrid, and that's a good talent. And the way they've been performing right now, they're going to take that into the Club World Cup and do well. They're in mid-season form as well, so they already have mid-season experience. I know what Miami do, but they're not in good form. Palmeiras are, which means they have good experience, and they can use that to their advantage. And I think they can top the group, but I just don't think they will. I think Porto will edge them out in 1 game, which is why I think they will make it through to the round of 16, but in 2nd place to the round of 16, and they will finish last. Second group consists of the teams PSG, Botafogo, Seattle Sounders, and Atletico Madrid. First team I'm going to talk about is PSG. Now, PSG have been a very, very, very dominant force this year in Europe, especially winning the Champions League and other tournaments. They won the treble. They won the treble. They won the treble, which obviously puts them as heavy favorites for this group and definitely a favorite to win the whole entire competition. I think they will go through. They will win all 3 of their games very, very comfortably. Maybe except 1 or 2 games against Atletico Madrid and Botafogo. Seattle Sounders probably going to be a walk in the park. With that said, I think they will go through comfortably. They will top the group. The second team I'm going to talk about is Botafogo. Now, they've not been doing very well in the Brazilian Serie A or the CONMEBOL Libertadores. At the start of the season, they weren't doing very well. Their preseason, they weren't doing well, especially coming off a CONMEBOL Libertadores win and a Brazilian Serie A win. I think that is what might put them in a position to finish 2nd. I just think Atletico Madrid have a lot more quality, and PSG also have a lot more quality. I'm not going to count them out though. I still think they have a very high chance of finishing 2nd. I just don't think they'll be good enough. I just don't think they'll be able to beat some of the other teams. which is why I have put them in third and unfortunately knocked out in the group stage. The third club that I'm going to talk about is Atletico de Madrid. Now I think this is, again, especially the European sides, they're probably going to be dominant in this competition, and Atletico Madrid is no doubt about it. Them and PSG, I think it will be sort of a cakewalk to make it through. Atletico Madrid and Botafogo will definitely battle it out to make that second spot. But I think ultimately with the quality they have and the way they've been getting in the Champions League every single season, consistently getting top three, winning La Liga some of those seasons, finishing runners up, winning some trophies. I don't think they've won one in like the last 3 years. But I think still they will have enough quality to make it through, which is why I think they will finish runners up below PSG and finish second. The fourth and final team is Seattle Sounders. Now, I just don't think they have a chance in this group. They're going to get scrambled, cooked, and fried at the same time. This is not me saying they 100% won't make it through, but in a group with this quality, it won't be enough. I get they won the CONCACAF Champions League to get here, but that was in 2022, against clubs who didn't have as much quality, which is exactly why they will get grouped and finish last. Group C or Group 3 consists of the teams Bayern Munich, Auckland City, Benfica, and Boca Juniors. First team we're going to talk about is Auckland City. Now, I do not know much about this team apart from that they're from Oceania and they're a dominant force. Against teams like this, with quality like this, with amazing players, I just don't think they've done a chance. They're cooked. They're done. They're going to get grouped. And I think they're going to finish fourth. The second team we're going to talk about is Bayern Munich, and they are definitely going to win this group. In a group like this, I don't see any other team besting them. I think Bayern Munich are a very strong force, very dominant force, very good team. And I think they are also another favorite to win this whole competition. Benfica might be the only team that can stop them. But the second place will be between Boca Juniors and Benfica. I think Bayern are going to cakewalk through this group. It's crazy seeing Bayern versus Auckland City. It's the level of this competition. You've got teams like Real Madrid, and you've got teams like Auckland City. It's wild. And anyways, I think they're going to finish first and top of the group. The players, obviously one of their best players is going to Real Madrid. I don't know who he is. That Boca Juniors will edge them out, and they will finish third and get grouped. The fourth and final team in this group I'm going to talk about is Boca Juniors. Now, I think they're going to be a very good team in this group. I don't think they have enough firepower to win this competition, but I think they are also the only team in South America to have gone through the CONMEBOL rankings, but they didn't win the Libertadores, which is why I think it will be hard for them to make it through. I think they will make it through, and obviously it will be a tough battle with Benfica to go through to the knockouts. I think they're going to get cooked in the knockouts. They're going to get destroyed in the knockouts. But in the group stage, I think they have a chance, which is why I think they'll make second and go through to the round of 16. Group 4 or Group D consists of the teams Chelsea, Esperance de Tunis, Flamengo, and LAFC. For this competition, and I think they're in good form and a good mood to get into this competition, especially because they made Champions League, which is why I think that they will finish first and advance to the round of 16. The second team I'm going to talk about is Esperance de Tunis. Now, I do not know much about this team, apart from that they dominate the Tunisian leagues, and they make runs in the African Champions League, but I just don't think they'll do well in this group with teams like Chelsea and Flamengo. I just don't see them making it through. No disrespect to them, obviously, but I just see them finishing last, and that's where I put them. The third team in this group we're going to be talking about is Flamengo, who are good in the Brazilian league and decently good in the Carnival Libertadores. Now, I've been seeing that they've been in good form in every single competition they've been competing in. Obviously, I think they won a trophy at the start of the season in the pre-season cup, and I think they might edge out some of the teams that they play, especially LAFC and S Tunis. They are top of the Brazilian Serie A and also runners-up in their Carnival Libertadores group, which means they do go through, which is why I see them finishing in second and making it through to the round of 16. The final club I'm going to talk about in this group is LAFC, and now they qualified through the play-in against Club America by beating them 2-1. And this is why I don't have them going through, because obviously they weren't supposed to be in this competition, but because of FIFA's really bad two-team owned by the same ownership rule, Club Leon got kicked out, which means they had to do two of the best teams from that continent, LAFC runners-up in the CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2023, and Club America, the best ranked team in the CONCACAF rankings. And LAFC came out on top in extra time, and they're doing pretty well in the MLS. Obviously, they got knocked out from the Champions Cup by Inter Miami a couple months ago, but that's over now. And that's why I see them in third, because I just feel as if, knowing that they weren't supposed to be in this competition, they got in really late through the play-in. They didn't have enough time to prepare, and they're gonna finish third and get knocked out in the group stages. Group 5, or Group E, consists of the teams Inter Milan, Monterrey, River Plate, and Urawa Red Diamonds. The first team in this group we are going to talk about is Inter Milan, and I think they will win this group quite comfortably, with the exception of the game against River Plate. And now I think some of these teams on the level of Inter, and I've said that for every single group winner, but for them this might be the closest group you will ever see in this competition. Even Urawa Red Diamonds, I think they can make a push for Inter. Obviously, they're not doing great right now. They've just lost in the Champions League final. That might lower their morale. But I think they'll go into this competition saying, we want to win this. We want redemption for that Champions League final loss. And I do think that they will win this group. I think they will finish first and advance to the round of 16. The second team that we are going to be talking about is Monterrey. Now, I think Monterrey have been a decent side in the CONCACAF Champions Cup and Liga MX, but obviously they lost to Toluca in the Clausura semi-finals. Toluca went on to win Liga MX Clausura, but I think, with players like Sergio Ramos, they could make a run in this competition, but I think that they will be troubled by River Plate. And a lot of you might be upset. A lot of you might think this is a bad opinion, but I think I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to go with Monterrey beating out River Plate to second in the group and advancing to the round of 16. The third team that I am going to talk about is River Plate, and I think, obviously, as shown by Monterrey, I don't think they will advance. I think Monterrey just have a little bit more quality than them. Obviously, River Plate, they were knocked out of the Argentina Primera Division Clausura by Potente, who did actually go on to win the competition as well, but that wasn't a two-legged tie. Obviously, they're also doing really good in the Carnival Libertadores, but obviously Monterrey, just having finished that league season and calming down in the summer, being able to warm up, and River Plate being in mid-season right now, it might just be Monterrey's example and advantage because they had a little more time to prepare. which is why I think they will finish third and get knocked out in the group stages. The fourth and final club is Urawa Red Diamonds, and I think they will finish last, and they will probably lose all 3 of their games. Obviously, they got through because they won the Asian Champions League in 2023, which was pretty recent. Obviously, the surprising thing is they weren't even in the competition this year, and they're third in the J1 League, and that might not be very good for them. And they're in good form right now, but the way things seem, it seems like they're not doing very well in season-wide. They're mid-season as well, but I don't think that will affect them. So I think they will finish bottom of the group and get grouped. Group 6 or Group F consists of the teams Borussia Dortmund, Mamelodi Sundowns, Fluminense, and Ulsan HD. The first team we're going to talk about is Borussia this tournament, but yeah, that is why I think they will top this group and finish first to advance to the round 16. Second team that we are going to talk about is Mamelodi Sundowns, and I don't think they will advance in this competition. Obviously, they were really dominant in their league in South Africa, but I just don't think they'll make it through. Obviously, they were good in South Africa. They were good in Africa as a continent. Finishing runners-up in the AFC Champions League, losing to Pyramid 2-1 on aggregate, or 3-2 on aggregate. I don't think they'll finish last though. I think it'll be a battle against Fluminense. Obviously, they've got Rowan Williams, very good goalkeeper, but I think Fluminense will edge them out. They will finish third and get grouped. The third team that we are going to talk about is Fluminense. And I think, even though they've not been doing good in the Brazilian League or the South America, I think just they're going to be going into this competition thinking that they can make a run. They can do well. And they're going to come here giving a team's run for their monies. They're going to make Dortmund be scared. Obviously, I don't think they will best Dortmund. I think it's going to be between them and Mamelodi Sundowns, both of them very good sides. I think last season, especially finishing a couple points off relegation, might give them a bit of bad hope. But they're in a decent position right now, and they're 4 points off being top of the Brazilian Serie A. So I think they will finish second and go through to the round of 16. The final team in this group that I am going to talk about is Ulsan HD, and I do not know much about this team apart from they're in a title race in Korean League 1. But I don't think they're going to advance. Seeing their performance in the AFC Champions League, they got grouped, finished 10th in their group with 12 teams. That's obviously a huge reason why I don't think they have the capacity to be able to advance. I think they will get beaten at least 1 or 2 of their games, especially against Borussia Dortmund. They are a top 4, and all of these 3 teams are going to be underdogs in this competition, but they're all very good teams in this group, and it's going to be hard to predict, but I think they will finish last and get grouped. Group G or Group 7 consists of the teams Ahly, Man City, Juventus, and Wydad Casablanca. First team that I am going to talk about is Al Ain, and I don't think they have a chance in this group. I don't think they'll finish last, but they will not finish runners up, most definitely. Obviously, they're having a really bad season in the UAE Pro League, and they finished as one of the worst teams in the AFC Champions League, and that's not been great for them. This has not been a great season for them. Obviously, they won the AFC Champions League last year, but they got group finishing last in their group with only 2 points, being winless, and that is exactly why I think they will not make it through. They will finish third and get grouped. The second team that I am going to talk about is Manchester City, and I think they will top this group. Not easily. Obviously, teams like Juventus will stop them in their way. But I think the way they've been performing towards the end of the season, I think that's good for them. They're in a good morale qualifying for the Champions League. Obviously, they didn't have the best of seasons. Obviously, they went trophyless, but I still think they can top this quite easily. I think they're still a good side, very strong side, but I still think they will dominate this group. I think they will finish first and top it to advance to the round of 16. Third team in this group that we are going to talk about is Juventus, and I think they will advance. I don't think it will be easy. I think this is the toughest group to decide who will finish first. I think Man City will top them. I just don't think they have enough quality to outperform Man City, but I think they have enough quality to outperform Ahly and Wydad Casablanca. I think they didn't have a very good season. They did make Champions League, however, finishing fourth, just above Roma. They did get out in the same state that Man City did in the playoffs. They did go trophyless, so that's another negative for them, but I do think they will make it through to the round 16 in second place. The final team in this group that I will be talking about is Wydad Casablanca, and I do not know much about this team, but I realized that they did not even qualify for the African Champions League this season, which is a very bad thing, and they are almost basically out of the title race in their league in Morocco, I think. So I just don't think they have a chance in this group. Obviously, I think this is third and fourth between Ahly and Wydad Casablanca. Obviously, I don't think that the level of these teams are even. I think the level of these teams is sort of different. Man City and Juventus is the same level. Wydad Casablanca and Ahly are the same. But that's just the difference between some of these teams, which is why I have them finishing bottom of the group and getting grouped. Group H, or Group 8, consists of the teams Real Madrid, Al Hilal, Pachuca, and RB Salzburg. First team that we are going to talk about is Real Madrid, and I think they will easily top this group, even if Al Hilal is in it. I think they're just way too powerful for teams like these. Obviously, they already played Pachuca in the Intercontinental Cup, or the old FIFA Club World Cup, and they did win 3-0, and I think that will probably repeat again this time, which is why I can see them topping this group. I can see them winning all three of their games. Al Hilal might give them a bit of a challenge. I just don't think they will, though. I don't think Al Hilal is the level of Real Madrid, which is why I think they will finish first and top the group to advance to the round of 16. The second team that we are going to talk about is Al Hilal, and they are absolute chokers. They didn't win a trophy this season. I don't think. They finished second in the Saudi Pro League, got knocked out in the semi-final of the AFC Champions League. They choked hard this season. Last season they had a good season. This season they choked. They're done. They're good. But I think they still will make it through with some of the players they have. You know, Mitrovic. He's been really good for Al Hilal, and I think that might propel them just specifically Saudi money to change. But yeah, I think they will joust against Pachuca. RB Salzburg will also be in there. This is the toughest one to decide for who finishes second place, but I think Al Hilal will finish in second and advance to the round of 16. The third team that I'm going to talk about is Pachuca, and I do not think they'll make it through, unfortunately. I think all the games they're going to play, especially with them, are going to be hard games. The last game they played in Liga MX, they got knocked out in the Calzara quarterfinals. They didn't, for some reason, make the CONCACAF Champions Cup despite winning it last season. I don't know how that happened. That's really stupid. But, yeah, I think especially Real Madrid, Al Hilal and RB Salzburg, those two clubs will definitely give them a run for money. But I think they will, you know, try and make it through. I don't think they will. I think they don't have enough in them, enough capability to be able to make it through. They lost to Real Madrid, so I don't think they'll top the group. Then second place is going to be between them, RB Salzburg and Al Hilal. But again, I think they will finish third and get grouped. The fourth and final team in this group and the entire competition that I am going to talk about is Red Bull Salzburg, and I don't think they will make it through, unfortunately. I think, obviously, the season they had, they weren't great. They finished runners-up in the Austrian Bundesliga. They also got grouped in the Champions League, and it wasn't a great sight to see either. They're playing in the Champions League. They also lost to Real Madrid 5-1 in the Champions League, and that was on the final match day. Obviously, that might not matter now, but I still think that, especially because all of these teams are doing better in form than RB Salzburg right now, and obviously the morale they're in after just losing the Austrian Bundesliga by a couple points, I think that will they finish last and also get grouped. Hello guys, thank you so much for watching this video after I promised to make it. It was about 2 weeks in the making, and I finally keep a promise. Go me. But seriously, I won't be able to make the knockouts. I will post them on my community post so you guys can go and make fun of me there. But there you go, episode 2 of FNW is out.